As a child, my family loved to travel. My parents took my sister and I across the country, but our most favorite place to visit was Orlando, Florida. Walt Disney World, the theme park, was our favorite place to visit. However, when I was a kid, I always wanted to go to SeaWorld. I remember seeing the commercials on TV with the majestic killer whales and the dolphins, and I always wanted to go. I loved watching the killer whales in the commercials jump straight out of the air and splash back in the water, splashing the audience, a group I was eager to be a part of. But every time I argued to go, my parents said no, and I haven't been at all. But I am proud of this fact. In high school, I saw the documentary Blackfish, and it exposed to me the horrors that captive orca whales have at places like SeaWorld. Why should a creature more than 23 feet long, weighing up to 10,000 pounds, be kept in a 150-foot long by 30-foot deep pool? I've spent many hours researching captive and wild orcas and SeaWorld's practices. SeaWorld should not be allowed to keep orcas in captivity. In their natural habitat, killer whales live far longer than they do in captivity. In the wild, males can live anywhere from 50 to 60 years. Females can live to be from 80 to even over 100. In captivity, however, the average age of death of a killer whale is just 12 years old. This has contributed to the environmental stress that they receive on a day-to-day basis. Whales like these, the size of elephants, are built for the open ocean, an expanse that covers more than 3/4 of the Earth's surface. They are extremely intelligent creatures with larger brains than humans. They exist in small, close-knit family packs, and they develop languages to communicate with each other. These languages are even as diverse as our own. Without the mental and physical stimulation offered in the wild, they lead boring, unfulfilling lives. As signs of their stress, they will grind their teeth against the concrete walls of their pens, even down to the nerve, exposing the nerve, which can cause infections and other sicknesses. They also experience what equates to kidnapping. Wild orcas, after birth, the calves will usually stay with their mother and even stay in the close-knit pack for the rest of their lives. In captivity, however, orca calves are routinely taken from their mothers even as young as 11 months old, packaged and shipped to wherever SeaWorld leadership deems they can bring in the most revenue. Outsider orcas, the ones brought from another facility, are routinely attacked by the group that's already there. Orcas are highly territorial animals. That would be like me taking an American and placing him in China with no grasp of the culture and no assistance. The outsider orcas will be grazed by the teeth of the orcas who are already there, which will usually draw blood in an effort to show dominance. Wild orcas have the whole ocean to escape to, but in captivity, in these concrete containers, there is nowhere to hide. Now I'm going to show you a video on one of SeaWorld's orcas, Corky. The confinement that these orcas experience leads to the deaths of not only killer whales, but also their human handlers. Tilikum, featured in the 2013 documentary Blackfish, recently died in 2017. Tilikum has been linked to the deaths of 3 people. In 1991, while at the sealand of the Pacific Park on the west coast of Canada, Tilikum was in an enclosed pool. In 1991, Kilty Byrne accidentally fell into that pool where Tilikum and 2 other orcas were. They began thrashing her about while she screamed for her life, eyewitness claims. She subsequently drowned amongst the commotion. After this, that park was closed, and SeaWorld bought Tilikum, knowing his aggressive behavior. In 1999, Daniel Dukes was found dead, draped across the back of Tilikum at a SeaWorld enclosure. He had snuck in earlier that night under the cover of darkness and entered the pod where he was. The last fatality occurred in 2010 when Dawn Branshaw was performing with Tilikum. She was pulled into the water and killed in what was described as a deliberate attack by eyewitnesses. My next video shows an attack by another SeaWorld killer whale, orchid. The end of the video does show the injury, but it is not very graphic.
Tamari made mistakes. The most important one was interacting with whales without a spotter. So she's putting her foot on orchid, she's taking her foot off. She's putting her foot on orchid, her rostrum, she's taking it off. Watching the video, knowing orchid, your stomach drops because you know what's probably going to happen. She grabbed her foot. Tamari whips around and she grabs the gate. You see her just ripped from the gate. At this point, Tamari knows that she's in trouble. She's under the water. Splash and Orchid both have her. She's totally out of view. No other trainer knows that this is happening. People start to scream, as the park guest that was filming it. You don't see her, but you hear Tamari surface. You hear her just scream out, "Somebody help me." And the way she screamed it was just such a blood-curdling, like she knew she was gonna die. Robin, when he ran over, he made a brilliant decision. He told her trainer to run and take the chain off Kasaka's gate. By taking that chain off, it would give the precursor to Orchid that Kasaka was coming in. Kasaka is more dominant than Orchid. So Orchid let her go. Her arm, it was U-shaped. It was compound fractured. She's very lucky to be alive, that's for sure.
Experts state that captivity causes the mental deterioration that leads to orcas acting out aggressively. Rick O'Berry, a marine mammal expert with 40 years of experience, has equated confinement of orcas to like you living in the bathroom for the rest of your life. In order to protect the safety of these animals, governments must act. In 2016, the state of California passed a law that banned the captive breeding and the use of orcas as entertainment. The United States government should follow the lead of California. We should also follow the lead of our neighbor to the north, Canada. Over the past summer, Canada passed the law banning the captivity and breeding of all marine mammals within the country's borders. Here at home, we can pledge to never visit SeaWorld and encourage others to do that as well. Our wallet is our most powerful political tool, and we can exercise it by not spending our money at SeaWorld. We can also protest in person or sign an online petition. One of the major acts you can do is to contact your local elected officials, especially those in Washington. Orcas are large and intelligent mammals. They don't deserve to live short, confined lives as entertainment for humans. I've spoken on the plight of the captive whales, how they act on their frustration by harming their trainers. I've presented laws passed protecting the orcas and how we can help. We must put an end to this practice. I invite everyone to contact their Washington officials to end the suffering of these mammals. Thank you. How was it?